Hey, this is Aaron Hobson with Red Hook Guitar, and kind of got sidetracked from some of my other theory lessons I was going to do because I was teaching a student today, and we were doing a Mexican song by an artist named Leo Dan, and is using a lot of those thirds, major thirds and minor thirds, which you hear so often in Spanish music. You hear it in all different types of music, but it's really common in that type of music. So she had a question, and I'm kind of making this video for her and for anybody else who wants to learn this concept, because it's a really fun concept. So it kind of goes back to my lesson 2 on intervals. If you can remember what a major third and a minor third is, that's really what we're going to be doing. We're going to be taking chords, 2-note chords based on major and minor thirds, and playing them throughout the scale, throughout the key. So if you're not familiar with intervals and what a major third and a minor third is, you might want to go back to lesson 2 and kind of refresh on that. So really a major third is whenever you start on a root, you go 2 whole steps. So we're going to start everything with the key of C, like I always do, because key of C is the people's key. It's the key of the people. There is no sharps. There's no flats. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. All right, so that's what we're working with here. So this is Nikki, by the way. Say hi, Nikki. So we're talking about C major. So in an earlier lesson, I talked about the C major scale and playing it across the fretboard on one string, because that's an easy way to visualize where all your intervals are, your whole steps and your half steps. So here's my C, that's my root. I go a whole step to D, I go a whole step to E, I go a half step to F, a whole step to G, a whole step to A, a whole step to B, and a half step to C. And then I can go backwards on that, okay? So that's my scale. So I'm going to harmonize these thirds between the B string and the E string. So if you go back to the diatonic chord progression, you know in a major key, your 1 chord is always major, your 2 chord is always minor, your 3 chord is always minor, your 4 chord is always major, your 5 chord is major or dominant, depending, your 6 chord is always minor, your 7 chord is either diminished or half diminished, depending on if you're talking about 7th chords or just triads, and then back to the C. So what that leaves you with is this. So if I take my C here and I want to just play like a little 2-note interval of thirds, well, my open E, from C to open E is a major third, right? From C, D, E. And I can play that open together. So I've got 1 and open here. First fret on the B, open on the E. Now my next chord is going to be based on the 2nd note of the scale, which is D. And I'm going to go D to F because D to F is a minor third and my 2 chord has to be minor. So D, E, F, you go a whole step and a half step to get a minor third. So D to F. My next note is E. So remember your 3 chord is always minor. So I do another minor third here. I've got my 5th fret E on the B string and my 3rd fret on the bottom, because E, F sharp, G, or in this case we're in C, so E, F, G. So that's my minor third. So I've got major third, minor third, minor third. F to A, that's a major third, right? Because 2 whole steps, F to A, harmonize them here. My next note is G. It's a major because that's my 5 chord. I go G to B because G, A, B, that's my major third. A to C, starting on the 6th note of the scale. That's a minor. My 6th chord is minor. 12 to 10, B to D. So remember, even if you have a diminished chord, it's still a minor third, because diminished has a flatted 5th but a minor third, and we're not incorporating 5ths into this equation. So this would be diminished, but it's just a minor third. So 12 and 10, B to D, and then I'm back to C to E, an octave higher, and I could keep going. It's like C major, D minor. I could do the same pattern until I run out of next space, and then I can go backwards. Right? So I've got C major, D minor, E minor, F major, G major, A minor, B diminished, C major, back. So in the song in particular, I'll put a link to it. It goes, the intro is something like. Popular song that you would definitely know that has these intervals. BrownEyed Girl, of course. We got G in the key of G. So in that case, right, I've got starting on my B string here, I've got G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G. So major, G and B, minor, A and C, minor, B and D, major, C and E. I'm going to do the D an octave lower, D and F sharp, 6th chord is minor, E and G, diminished, F sharp and A, and then back to G. So I've just changed the key here. I've done the same thing that I did before, but starting from a G root through a G major scale, right? So I've got G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G, and I just harmonize that with my diatonic chord progression, and then you've got the same key as BrownEyed Girl, which is the key of G. I like to play, there's a song by the Byrds called Rock and Roll Star, and it's got this trumpet part in the beginning. Right. So that is a D major scale. So what I like to do to make that a little more full, because I play with a trio and I don't have, you know, keyboards or another guitar player to really keep that fullness. So playing single notes sometimes is a little bit thin. So to beef that up, you know, you might want to play a melody in thirds. So what I do, kind of like bulking it out a little bit, and that's D major now. So like here's my D root here. So I've got D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, D, and again you could do the C sharp, D in the lower octave. So again, major third, D and F sharp, minor third, E and G, minor third, F sharp and A, major third, G and B, major third, A and C sharp, minor third on my 12th and 10th. Right, the B and the D, and then C sharp and E, that's my diminished, which is a minor third, and then back to D and F sharp. So now I've got D major, so again, I'm playing these on the bottom two strings, the B and the E, but know that you can play these anywhere, on any string grouping, right? So say I wanted to do something a little bit darker. Right, so I've got G major here. So I've got G and B, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished. So that's kind of a darker sound. I could do C major here, starting on the A and the D strings. C major, D minor, E minor, F major, G major, A minor, B diminished. Do them on any string groupings between these two. Or here's G major here. Major, minor, minor, major, major, minor. So you can really play those anywhere on any string groupings. The only place where it gets weird is between the G and the B string, because you know, like I explained earlier, the guitar is tuned in fourths up until between the G and the B, things get a little strange. I'm sure you've noticed when you play scales or play chords or whatever, something goes a little awry here because you've got not an interval of a fourth, but an interval of a major third. So that makes things a little bit different between those two strings. So like a major third would be on the same fret like this, and a minor third would be like this. So it would be a little bit of a different fingering, but still a good place to practice those things. So, you know, you can do these with different intervals. I'm just using major and minor thirds as an example because it's kind of an easy thing to play through a major scale, and it kind of came up today as I was teaching, and I think that they're like a really fun thing to kind of add to your playing if you want to kind of do single notes but and melodic things, but have them be just a little bit more full sounding, more like a chord. And it's, you know, it's still just like a 2-note chord, so it's kind of a thin sound. But anyway, I will put more in the description, and links to my other theory videos if you're a little lost in terms of the theory behind this, the diatonic chord progression, intervals of a major third and a minor third, and the major scale. So anyway, till next time.